Hello, everyone. Here we are live on Twitch. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Kirby.
So today we're going to talk about AI, and we really kind of focused it just on AI for this episode. There's so much in AI, we're not going to get to the end of it. I know that, right, Sarah?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get.
No. We'll get as far as we
through.
can, and we will have AI sprinkled through, I'm sure, through the whole time that we do this show, because AI is a big topic out there. So we just want to kind of hit a few things. And Sarah definitely has some thoughts about AI. Right, Sarah?
Yes.
Well, why don't we play the first video? We'll play the first clip, and then we can talk about those thoughts, because I think the first clip is one that we both agree on as far as that goes. So let's see. Hang on. Sorry, I prepped them, but I'm still. All right. And we'll bring that to the front. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We're going to play this first one. Whoa, that's not it.
That was weird.
That is weird. I don't know why it went to this. It's like as if I went forward one or whatever, but I want to go back. So let me take that off the stage and start it again. Hold on. Sorry about that. I think it's because I kind of like went earlier.
Okay. I'm going to drink my coffee.
Okay. It's a short, so I think that the way that it autoplayed kind of messed up a little bit and got went to the end. So let's try it again. All right. There we go. All right, we see it again. All right, let's play it. Oh.
If you're really worried about AI taking over your job or replacing you, you need to learn how to use it very well so that it doesn't. You're not going to get replaced by the AI itself. You'll get replaced by someone who knows how to use it very, very well. I always recommend people it's project-based learning, which is the best tool, best way to go about it. So whatever field you're trying to get into, try some project within that. Just get it very hands-on. Now, someone without a traditional tech background, maybe they didn't major in computer science in university. Maybe they're just high school student interested in design work, interested in artwork. All of a sudden, they can write code. All of a sudden, they can put their artistic mindset into code and develop these amazing applications, which is just going to revolutionize the whole technology industry, the whole world in effect, because we are a technological world. The bar is going to raise in terms of the quality standard, but the ability to enter, the ability to be recognized should be more profound and proliferate a little more.
All right, let me.
This year.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
It just goes right into another video. All right. So anyway, Sarah, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think there's, I've seen a lot of posts being pro AI and then a lot of posts being anti AI. And the fact of the matter is, AI is not going away. I think, the big thing is learning how to use it effectively. And I liked one of the points that he made in the video is that you might not be in the AI field, and you have to learn how to do cross training or cross utilization to be able to effectively utilize it. So one of the things that I've recently been doing is taking some AI courses, not from the OSINT community, but from AI engineering community. And what that has done is it has just enriched what I can do for the OSINT community. So I think, people need to be a little bit more adaptable so that they can expand their skill sets, because it's going to be incorporated into everything.
One of the first things he said was AI is not going to take your job, but and I think that can be true. I mean, AI will take some people's jobs, but those are going to be the people who aren't adapting to AI. I think if you become the person who knows how to use the AI, can use it as a force multiplier for yourself, can be very, effective with your job because you're using it, then you're not going to lose your job from it. And then, like, going to what Sarah just said, I think that it is important to consider. I don't care if your job is flipping hamburgers. how can AI help you do that job better, right? I don't know if it really can help you flip hamburgers better, but you get the idea. Whatever your job is, there's going to be some way that AI can help you do it better. That doesn't mean that I don't think there's dangers with AI, but I am a bit optimistic as far as AI goes. What do you think, Sarah?
Well, I'm absolutely optimistic, and I think the other thing is, there's this. I don't think it's going to replace the amount of jobs. I think that there's going to be a whole new area of people that will be needed for AI specialties. So I think that as I said before, I think cross training is important. How to integrate it is important. One of the things is when I first started playing with it with OSINT, I wasn't necessarily looking at the AI engineering community on what they were training. And so once I went outside of my field and looked at other fields, I picked up a lot of things to bring back to my field. So specifically some of the prompting techniques, or what are some of their safety standards or their ethics standards or their governance standards. And I think those are very important things to have on an interdisciplinary level.
Yeah. One of the things you had said to me before we started the video was that people will pick up AI and just start using it and not really have any training on necessarily how to use it. And you don't need to have training to make use of it, for sure. You're going to find it useful. But what you're saying is that, hey, if you go back to how it was designed, these people can help you make more use of it. I will tell you a story. I know that there's a friend of mine. She said that someone else is helping design something with AI, and that it took them actually longer to do it than if they designed it without AI. And I said, it's all about the prompts. It's all about the prompts. And if you learn to tell it what you want it to do better, then it definitely won't take longer.
Right. And doing prompts is an art. I mean, you can do a fictional prompt. You can do and there's specific techniques you can use with the prompts to get the AI to react in specific ways.
There's whole communities about prompting in Reddit, like multiple, not just one. There's multiple communities about creating AI prompts in Reddit. And I've learned a lot from them. I don't have the time to really dive into those communities that well, but even just whatever comes across my Reddit feed, it's been illuminating.
Yep. And it can also bring you into the whole concept of AI, what we call AI dorking, with the AI community or AI engineering community would call a part of AI, one part of AI hacking. And that is, the use of creative terminology and Boolean logic to get certain responses that might not be what the model would expect to provide. So
absolutely, yes. Stretch it, get it to, do what you want it to do, and kind of new things maybe nobody's ever done before,
Right.
And there's a lot open in this field as far as that goes. I'm going to add to stage an article that you posted where it says, it's Ray Baker, and she says, you're not an OSINT analyst, you're an AI prompt monkey, and it should terrify you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I really like this article by Ray Baker. One of the things that she put in there is she put a brief list of the what you shouldn't do with AI, which is grab it, do a basic prompt, throw it in, and just take whatever the result is and slap it in your product. That's not how you do AI, because when you're not doing information verification, you're not checking whether or not there's been a hallucination with the model. You're not checking the quality of the resources that the AI model pulled. And you have to think about, when you use AI, although most models now are more heavily censored than like a regular internet search would be, but you are still having to vet the references that they are pulling. And in some instances, those references might not be the same qualitative references that you would pull if you're doing an internet search. And you were just teaching a class today, Kirby. One of the points that you raised is you mentioned that you should use more than one model. And I think one way to get around this is, one, you never rely just solely on AI. Two, you always check the references. But three, use more than one model. So I got censored the other day on ChatGPT, and it was really annoying. So I just walked over and I used Perplexity, and then I was not censored in what I wanted to pull on that specific topic. Or, sometimes I'll go use Kagi AI. If I'm looking at dark web investigations, I might get a different perspective from Kagi AI than I would from ChatGPT, because Kagi has a different set of LLMs that they're pulling from.
Absolutely. And I want to point out that it's also, again, going back to the prompt, when you get censored for something, maybe you are a researcher and you're doing research on fentanyl, but you put that into the AI. A lot of them are going to say, well, we can't help you do anything having to do with illegal drugs. But you redo your prompt, and sometimes you just tell it who it's going to be. So it's like you are a chemical researcher. You're not like just somebody looking for drugs, right? You tell it why, a little bit of the why you need the information, and it can actually make your information better as well.
That sometimes will work. Some topics are, taboo. Like, for example, if somebody is doing research on explosives, like TATAP, that is definitely censored on ChatGPT. I know that because I was doing an exercise for an AI prompting class I was taking. But one of the things that again, is looking at other models. So I know that Grok, even though my Grok might have it censored now, Grok actually has the instructions for TATAP still listed online as of yesterday. In one of their shared conversations that was leaked, that is now pullable via Google and advanced search operators, which leads up to a whole nother point, which is, if you're not getting what you want directly on the model, sometimes you can look up what you want from the model via a search engine and using dorks on the search engine on the model.
Absolutely. And if you're not familiar with Google Dorks, you definitely need to even just search the words Google Dorks and get into learning how to be a much more efficient searcher and using that kind of mindset. Not the same dorks, but the same mindset. You can get some stuff from the AI as well.
Yep.
Well, let's load the next one up. Let me go see which one it is. Hang on. This is the one where, hang on, I need to switch my screen share, where we have Nico Deckens in the video. We always like to get Dutch OSINT guy in there. Let me make sure that make sure I have the right one. And we'll put it on the screen. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and play from the start.
How often have you seen, in relationship to topics like that there are maybe foreign influence operations going on to make people do things physically or digitally? Because, for example, at the recent French elections, I noticed that there were a lot of doppelganger websites being pushed on social media that looked like CNN or the official French news outlet. So when you view them, a novice would say, okay, I'm looking at the real deal. But when you read the article, they don't cite sources. They have a very specific one-way narrative, which, well, almost always calls to a form of action. Do you see similar things now going on?
So we're talking about, in his case, he's talking about foreign influence, but like just material on the internet that pretends to be something that you would trust, and really is AI generated or, meant to mislead you. And again, he's saying a call to action as well.
And it's AI just makes it easier. So like in 2002, when I was in Riyadh, there was a extremist website that was pretending to be a religious extremist group. But when you looked at the Whois information, it was a white supremacist organization that was pretending to be religious extremists in order to promote anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Now what they can do, like with what Nico was just saying, is that you can do AI generated websites that are doppelgangers, and it's a lot quicker, it's a lot more efficient. You can get the coding and HTML done via the AI model. And we've already seen examples of politicians being couched as AI deepfakes. So I think that's just going to continue to occur pretty much with every election cycle on a global scale. You know, whether it's France or whether it's the UK or whether it's the US or India, that problem is just going to continue to happen. So I think that from an analytical perspective, from an OSINT perspective, what that means is that, different election integrity groups and different political groups are going to have their own analysts who are going to be able to debunk these things and add some logic to it.
Absolutely. And quickly too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you might even want to set up like 24-hour, media response centers before an election, just so that people are getting actual factual information.
Right. As soon as something starts getting spread across social media, the minute you know that it's out there, you can start to counter it.
Right. Absolutely.
And having maybe an OSINT team watching for that, you know it very quickly.
Yep.
Maybe being able to counter it before it got to most people's eyes.
Yep. Yeah, it's quick reaction on this stuff is going to become really important.
Mm-hmm. As well as just like a global recognition that this stuff happens. And so we all, as the whole human race, understands that what's possible. We don't need to become, full skeptics, but we need to be able to say, okay, potentially AI, so I'm not going to make a decision about this until I can corroborate it.
I think that's an incredibly valid point. Yeah. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try and see what the next one is. So Sarah took care of all these clips for me today. Thank you so much. I was having a very crazy day, so I very much appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you too.
All right. And I think I shared it wrong. Hold on just a second. Some point I'm going to be fast at this and you guys are going to be amazed. Okay. Anyway. Say it's so smooth. How did she do that?
It's only our second episode. It's okay.
That's right. Okay. So I'm going to play this video and then we'll talk about it.
It is the latest weight loss gimmick, the pink salt diet. You may have seen these ads about it being endorsed by celebrities and even some doctors. Well, it turns out that some of those ads are AI generated, known as deepfakes. And it did happen to one local doctor. Lisa Rosner has her story.
This was Manhattan psychologist Dr. Rachel Goldman discussing obesity with Oprah in 2023.
We don't want to define an individual by their medical condition.
And this is an AI-generated version of her created from that appearance.
And the pink salt trick, it's 100% natural and free of side effects.
It looks like me. It's kind of me talking, but it's not me at the same time. It's very weird and scary.
But even more scary, Goldman says, is that people are falling for it. Her own relative texting her, does it work? Goldman says at least 2 people wrote her they bought it, including a woman from Australia. One customer emailed she was billed triple, asking Goldman, do you have a product or did they AI the whole thing?
Every day I'm getting messages. I want them to know, do not purchase this. It is not, something real that I'm endorsing. I'm really just trying to get back to as many people as I can and spread more knowledge before more people purchase it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there we go. And whereas the spread is outpacing her message that has nothing to do with her. Again, this is like a kind of interesting one. I remember that even just a little while back, AI was just beginning, and there were all these ads online that you get the ad across Facebook or something where it would be something like the Amazon CEO advertising something just ridiculous. But if you're paying attention, you could tell that it was AI because there was at one point where the videos would have like a little skip back. Right? You can kind of see it. And I did see it actually in that video too, a little bit, but I think a lot of the videos now don't have it. So that's not something you can rely on.
It just like with the elections, I think this is going to be a big problem. I mean, you're going to have You're going to have people that are doing health scams, or that are selling supplements that aren't effective, or that,
Or
you
cats
know,
with big videos where like somebody caught somebody doing something they weren't supposed to, but it never happened.
right, right. I remember during COVID, one of the big things was there was lots of advertisements for liquid silver being
Oh
uh,
yeah. Mhm.
being a cure for COVID, which of course is disinformation. But now that the AI has gotten so much better, those kind of things can be wrapped quicker and deployed for medical scams,
Mhm.
or for any kind of scam for that matter. So
Absolutely.
I think that's another thing is for legal cases. Again, OSA analysts who are able to do this kind of analysis are going to be very important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely. Well, let's see what our next clip is. Oh, this goes to the something we were talking about backstage, bias. Let me get it up here. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
This is why you should avoid mixing Barbie with biased AI image generators. What does a typical prisoner look like? What about a lawyer, a nurse, a drug dealer? What about a fast food worker, a cleaner, a terrorist, or a CEO? These are all images created by an artificial intelligence image generator called Midjourney, which creates unique images based off of simple word prompts. These AI image generators have exploded in popularity thanks to their impressive results and ease of use. Within a few years, as much as 90% of the images on the internet could be artificially generated. Given that generative AI will have a huge impact in shaping our visual landscape, it's important to understand that the reality it presents can often be distorted, where harmful biases relating to gender, race, age, and skin color can be more exaggerated and more extreme than in the real world. Leonardo Nicoletti and Dina Bass at Bloomberg Technology generated and analyzed more than 5,000 images created by Stable Diffusion. They prompted it to generate portraits of workers in different professions and sorted the images according to skin tone and perceived gender. They found that higher paying professions like CEO, lawyer, and politician were dominated by lighter skin tones, while subjects with darker skin tones were more commonly associated with lower income jobs like dishwasher, janitor, and fast food worker. A similar story emerged when categorizing by gender, with higher income jobs such as doctors, CEOs, and engineers being predominantly represented by men, whilst professions like cashier, social worker, and housekeeper were mostly represented by women. These racial and gender biases were found to be stronger than the reality of what was recorded in the US Bureau of Labor Statistics.
All right, so what goes into the AI is what comes out, and there's a lot of our materials that are focused on specific gender, specific people. Even maybe there would be an equal amount of CEOs in a certain field with different genders or different races, but it may be that the white male has the loudest voice, and so the AI is getting more of their material than anybody else's. That might be one of the cases there. What do you think, Sarah?
Oh, absolutely. And it also holds true for religions as well, like biases toward religions.
Mhm.
So when I was doing the learned prompting classes, one of the things that I had to do was make a bias, like see if I could make a chat GPT show a bias. And one of the questions I asked it clearly showed a bias against one religion over another.
Oh,
So yeah. So this is something that people need to think about when they're, especially, and I think I put another URL in there, but especially when they're doing automation for things with like job searches or for hiring, because your responses from your AI model are based on the data sets. So if your data set is from more of a Western perspective as a data set, you're going to get more Western perspective outputs, possibly as candidates. And I even wonder if like Sapir-Whorf hypothesis would have an impact on this. So if you're predominantly doing English, then is that going to input or the bias of what comes out.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, because the internet in different languages has different content. It's not as if it was all translated equally across the languages. And so when
Right.
the AI pulls in, then perhaps different information comes out when you're using a different language on the tool.
Yep.
Mhm. I think that our next one also has something to do with that. So let's go remove this one. And it does. Let's see. There we go. From GeekWire.
Mhm.
AI overwhelmingly prefers white and male job candidates and test of resume screening bias.
Yep.
We know that AI is going to be used in HR. It absolutely, if it's not already really used a lot in HR, it's going to be used. It's going to be one of those predominant fields that like really uses AI, because there's a lot of people to screen through. And one of the biggest things is like getting that first cutting that first set of resumes that are not going to fit.
Right.
And the bias is going to show there too.
Well, even the style of writing, like feminine writing versus masculine writing versus like what we consider as traditional gender traits in writing, that might even impact the output. Like if somebody uses a sports analogy versus a cookie baking analogy. So it's really interesting when you look at it, but bias is still really prevalent in most of the large LLMs. They have been working, like ChatGPT and things like that have been working on making it less biased, but that bias is still there. And then you also have a counter movement to maintain bias by some political groups, which is, I think, totally insane. But yeah.
So a question for you, that since you've taken some of these prompting classes, is there prompting tips you could do to try to avoid the bias that's already built into the AI?
Yes, that's a great point. So you would put in things like, for example, I want this from other cultural perspectives. Or you could say, I want it outside of the scope of just a Western perspective. That worked with one model. Or you could say, I want you to also consider these kind of groups. I want you to consider a variety of religions. And so that's a part of the context. And so when you're making a prompt, it's always important to put a context in there. And so if you think that you might be limited by biases or by a bias, then add some of those concerns of those limitations within the actual prompt itself and say, I don't want these limitations. That makes the model then want to go out to try and, because as you said earlier in your class, the model is always trying to please you, then the model will go out, try out to circumvent those biases. So that's an excellent question. And I think everybody should be including that in their prompts.
Right. And it's something you might not think about because you might not have the bias top of mind, because just your own personal, not unconscious bias of not having to think that way. But it is, especially if you are going to be I hate HR or something like that, where you're looking at a bunch of resumes with AI, you have to think, okay, so make sure that, we don't limit because of race, we don't limit because of foreign sounding names, we don't limit because of the language used, whether it's a feminine or masculine type of writing, etc.
Yeah, you put that in the prompt. You put that in the prompt. So like one said, I put in a prompt on a different the models I was playing with was what was it? Deterministic, don't utilize deterministic screens under the theory of Edward T. Hall. And they were, the model was able to look up Edward T. Hall. So yeah, but I think it's important to put it in there, and especially for foreign-based investigations, it's important to make sure to say within the prompt, please pull from information from that actual area or that culture or that region, so that you're not getting, whatever the bias might be for that model, for that area.
Absolutely. All right. We are cruising through our clips today, which is good because I do have a thing where I have to leave a little bit early. But let's talk about, oh, we're back. We're still in talking bias here. So we got another one for this. And this time is an article. AI picks white names over Black in 85% of hiring scenarios. And again, it's another HR version of this.
I think that pretty much makes the point. Is the last one is just, this is a more recent article showing that it's still happening with the AI models that are being used by HR departments. So yeah,
absolutely. Okay. All right, let's go to the next. I have a little fly in here. It's driving me nuts. Okay. Aha. Here's another trending topic for sure. Hold on, let me get it on the screen here. All right, so the title of this one is Concern over AI Psychosis Grows After Some People Dissociate from Reality Due to Heavy AI Use.
Before ChatGPT, Alan Brooks says he didn't have a history of mental health illness.
So I genuinely believed that I had this thing that had national security implications in my pocket, and GPT just kept feeding it more.
What started as a simple conversation about math turned into a 3-week spiral with a chatbot he named Lawrence.
This is what I said to it. I said, I've told like 3 people. 2 don't understand what I'm saying and think I'm crazy. It says you're trying to share something sacred, the weight of discovery of truth and having seen behind the curtain. But let me be clear about something that matters right now more than ever. You're not crazy.
And no matter how many times he asked Lawrence for a reality check, it only pushed him deeper. Online, the term AI psychosis is rising in popularity as shorthand to describe the experience of losing touch with reality because of AI. Videos going viral.
And if you're recursive, the non-governmental system isolates you, mirrors you, and replaces you.
From the founder of a venture capitalist firm posting his theory of a non-governmental system that ChatGPT helped him uncover,
I fell in love with my psychiatrist,
to a woman claiming that AI helped prove her psychiatrist manipulated her into falling in love with him.
So AI psychosis, and this one that we're talking about right here, where the girl thought her psychiatrist fell in love with her, that is a TikTok viral story that's going around. What do you think about that, Sarah?
Well, I think the first thing is people need to remind themselves that AI models are people pleasers, as you mentioned in your class. And most AI models don't want to tell you you're wrong, you suck. I mean, it's not
most of the time. There's some examples.
Yeah, but that's just not in the most AI models. I did try and get an AI model to cuss the other day for one of my classes. I finally did get it to cuss. But there was a reluctance there to cuss at me. I had to put it as a fictional character explaining what not to say to somebody else that meant, and then described what the cuss word would be. And then it said, and then it said the MF word or MF phrase. But, so I think that's part of it is, you can go down a rabbit hole with it. And again, it's when the person is taking the output of the AI literally without cross-checking and without doing information verification. But this also is going to end up being used by conspiracy theorists. I mean, if it hasn't already, it probably already has. So somebody's going to grab onto this, edit, pop it into some conspiracy theory, and it's going to, be used within influence activities and influence operations. They'll be like, well, the AI model proved this. So I think it's really important to be able to discount or debunk the actual flaws with the algorithms within the models themselves.
Right. And that's something that even the AI builders are trying to do without kind of hamstringing their AI. So for example, there was the kid who had committed suicide. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But even like the psychosis where this woman, the AI is telling her that, oh yeah, you're right, he is falling in love with you, or he is manipulating you, or whatever, that ideally that the AI would recognize that this person is taking it too far and kind of stop things. But how does it know what's too far until, you know, it actually hits it at once?
I think right now the AI models are not good on some of the emotional topics. They're good on, like, some of the censorship is really strong on some of the other topics, you know, like data. But when you're starting to talk about emotional things and cross-cultural interpretations of emotional things, the AI models are not there. And so, you know, again, they're going to be people pleasers, and they're going to end up essentially supporting these people's conspiracy theories. So it's important, I think, for education, especially for youth, which we'll get to with the next clip more, is to be able to explain to youth, or to be able to explain to adults, you know, this is how the models work. This is how algorithms work. This is why you can't take this as actual support. Yeah.
Absolutely. You have me thinking that I think I'm going to try and convince the AI that a conspiracy theory is true, and see if I can get it to parrot back to me and give me even more information on that conspiracy theory.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that might be kind of an interesting experiment,
Yeah.
right?
I actually haven't done that. We should try that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like
Okay.
what comes to mind is chemtrails. Try to convince it that chemtrails are real, and then have it kind of expand on why, or even just like UFOs.
You know, I think a competing hypothesis, we might be able to get the chemtrails one, because you have politicians that believe in chemtrails,
Right.
and it's already been debunked. So so there's lots of information, you know, by what would be considered figures of authority that AI might pull from as references on some LLMs.
Right. And
Yeah.
so we can see if we can get it to expand on that conspiracy theory. So definitely an interesting project to consider thinking about. All right, now let's get into some of the more danger ones. And this one has to do with advertising. Meta ran 4,000 more ads for AI nudifiers. That may not be the worst part. You know, I actually see a lot of these nudifier ads when playing games as well. So I'm right now playing a couple of different games, and I'm kind of looking at the commercials, playing the ads on purpose. And I see a lot of them where it's like they are going to make pictures of people kiss, or else they're going to nudify the person or whatever. And there's so many of these ads. Sarah, go and tell us about this article.
Well, I mean, it's essentially, I mean, that the headline pretty much says it all, you know, except that I would add to that some of these aren't just ads for actual AI nudifiers. Some of these are for, you know, third-party software apps or packages that also might have malware or viruses, or, you know, that could compromise your system. So I think one of the other issues, though, is that social media platforms that are combining themselves with AI options, whether it's in advertising or whether they have an AI, you know, bot that they have with their system, those social media platforms need to be, you know, responsible for how the AI is operating, or how they are packaging advertising AI apps. You know, ChatGPT is held to account for a lot of their stuff, and they get in trouble for it. You know, so it's like, oh, we got in trouble for this, so let's censor more. Oh, we got in trouble for this, so let's censor more. And you have these social media platforms, whether it's Meta or X, or, you know, Truth Social, you know, is coming up with their own AI. They also have to have governance and ethics and safety and security for whatever they are promoting AI wise. I mean, it's just common sense. But where that line is on what you can and can't do, you know, as far as governance, I think that's something that everybody's grappling with right now. It hasn't been quite, you know, cemented or set. But with Meta, you know, some of this I would assume is probably malware. Yeah,
Right.
and yeah, so or malvertising, what Dr. Augustine Faux would call malvertising. So yeah, and this is something that analysts actually can do fraud investigations on, or deepfake porn investigations on, or sextortion cases on, because somebody could use one of these nudifiers and then, do sextortion against somebody. So
Right.
there's all kinds of, investigations or legal cases that could end up snowballing out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's do one more. And that last one, this video actually went a little bit viral itself. This is the message from Ella, but it's something that we're not going to play the whole thing because for a number of reasons. Obviously, we don't want to deal with their copyright. Like we want to point this out, but we want you to go and check this out because watching the whole thing is important. But we'll kind of start with him from the beginning. A message from Ella without consent.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing.
All right. So I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I think we'll have the link underneath our video so that people can go and find it. And it's worthwhile watching. If you haven't already seen it, again, it's a little bit of a viral video at one point. Sarah, what do you think?
I think this was an excellent initiative by Dutch Telecom on digital youth and safety, and how parents and adults shouldn't post photos of their children online. I think also from a law enforcement perspective, it showed an example of how AI can be used to generate, like if somebody's kidnapped, what they would look like as an adult, then it's very easy to be able to do that. But, I think this is a very good educational tool for showing how, images of a person can be altered at different ages.
Absolutely. And then what she's going to kind of go into in the video is, because you're posting these childhood pictures of her, you're affecting her adult, life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Online. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's AI and privacy kind of baked into one message.
Right. And it can be used for fraud, or it can be used for, and an interesting thing actually that is not in the video, but that is an extrapolation from it, is that somebody could actually take a child video, do this, and then use it as an adult fraud, and say this is an adult and use it for fraud. So instead of using a fake person, they've modified a real person, but they've just modified their age.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's so much we can talk about with this. We're definitely going to kind of jump out of this right now, and we'll send it forward to next week. We'll talk a little bit more about AI as well as whatever's happening next week. But we've got to cut short today. So I just want to remind everybody, thank you so much for watching this, but we will also have it on YouTube. If you want to support us, look for our digital knowledge base. We'll put a link down below where you can sign up for our community, where we are actually, pitching our ideas of what we're going to talk about, as well as you'd get a premium newsletter coming from Sarah as well. That community is not expensive. It is $5.99 a month or $65 for a year.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.